This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, good morning everybody, and welcome to our penultimate webinar of the season. And this one's going to be on how to prepare a marketing plan, what you should include, how to approach it, and so on. And I'm delighted to have with us this morning Helen Stott of Marketing Doris, who is a marketing expert, and she's going to guide us through the way you can actually set up a marketing plan and apply it to your business. As always, this session's being recorded and will appear on our YouTube channel later on today. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to ask. You can either unmute yourself or you can stick it in the chat box. You'll see the chat box symbol in the top right hand corner of your screen. Please feel free to put your questions in there. As always, we have to start off with our usual disclaimer. So the following presentation is produced for general guidance only, and professional advice should always be sought before any transaction is undertaken. Individual circumstances can vary, and therefore no responsibility can be accepted by Harts Limited or any of their affiliates for any action taken or any decision made to refrain from action by attendees of this presentation. We always start off with a general update, and not much has changed since the last webinar that we did. Bear in mind we have the NIC threshold increasing to £12,570 from July, and hopefully that'll offset some of your 1.25% increase that you've already suffered. 1 pence off income tax, but not until 2024. But there's a lot of talk now about whether they're going to be cutting taxes because of the cost of living squeeze. So watch this space for that one. The employment allowance has already increased to £5,000, so make sure you're taking advantage of that and within your payroll. We've talked about the NI rise of 1.25%, and make use of this super deduction, which is 130% in relation to new capital equipment. So if you want to go for that, it's well worth it at the moment. And if you're needing funds, then the recovery loan scheme actually ends at the end of this month. So you need to apply now if you need some more funds. So that's the recovery loan scheme ends the 30th of June. That's the last of the incentives by the government to help you through the pandemic. Couple of areas, well, a few areas really, where HMRC are on the attack. The child benefit, as always, it's easy, low-hanging fruit for them. They're going to look and see if either of you are earning over £50,000, either of a couple, and you're claiming child benefit because you have to repay it, and over £60,000, you'll have to repay all of it. So if you've got two people earning £49,000, you get full child benefit. If one person is earning 60 and the other person is earning nothing, you don't get any. One of the quirks of the system. They are having a go at bounce back loans and Sybil's loans. HMRC are on the attack for that. So make sure if you've actually had the money, you are entitled to receive the money. So again, it's just one of those areas you need to be aware of. And also the HMRC have started to issue assessments for overpaid self-employed grants. So again, if you know of anybody who has inadvertently overclaimed the self-employed grant because it was all done on self-certification, then you need to pay it back before you get the brown envelope through the post. The Let Property campaign is still open. So if you know of anyone who has been receiving rental income and not declaring it for whatever reason, now's the time to come clean. It's been open for quite some years, and it's a very favourable regime for settling your tax liabilities. We've had plenty of experience in doing those, so if you've got any problems with that, get in touch. And finally, research and development tax claims. Following up from our webinar recently, these claims are being withheld by the HMRC at the moment, pending further inquiries. They are investigating repayments because there have been a number of fraudulent repayments made in the past, so they are looking at that. So if you're expecting a tax repayment from research and development, just hold your horses. It's actually being held up by HMRC. If you need any help with any of those, just get in touch. Again, please make use of our online resources. So follow us on LinkedIn at Harts Limited, and subscribe to us on YouTube at Harts Limited as well, and follow us on Twitter at Harts Accountants. The final webinar of the season is in a fortnight's time, and it's what is the real cost of living squeeze and what can I do about it? We want to hear from you about how you're dealing with it and how you may have heard other people are dealing with it. We're going to give you a load of tips as to how you can help you save the money and keep within your monthly budget. So again, if you know anybody who wants to join us on that one, or if you heard some great stories, we'd love to hear from you. Just drop me an email. And then we're going to be back in September. We have a series of new webinars ready and waiting. But if you have any suggestions of any further ones you'd like us to put on, please get in touch. You can always go to our website and book on via the events page. Okay, that's enough from me. What I'm now going to do is hand you over to Helen, and she's going to talk us through about how to prepare a marketing plan. So over to you, Helen.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. So just bear with me 1 minute. Can you now see that?
Yep.
Okay, I'll just move it to slideshow. So yes, I'm going to talk about how to prepare a marketing plan, and what we're going to look at is how it can be used in your business, what marketing activities you can use as part of the marketing plan, and how to review performance. I'll be covering some other elements in there as we go along anyway. So this is me. I'm Helen Stott, Marketing Doris. I've been working in marketing for 22 years in dedicated marketing roles, previously worked in sales roles. I usually highlight that because sales and marketing, I feel, need to work hand in hand. So I have got experience of sales, and I do think that helps with the marketing activities that I'm involved with. I've been working 15 years as Marketing Doris, and essentially I work as a part-time marketing director, on-demand marketing manager, and that includes lots of different elements of marketing activities, including digital. I've got quite a wide range of industry experience. I won't list all of those, but you can see that there's a mix there of business to business and business to consumer. So on to business. So when we look at the marketing plan, we really need to look at what's above that, and everything really that the marketing plan needs to cover is what's in the overall business plan. And that's really what not every business has one of these, we know that, but the business does need to understand where it's going, what it's trying to achieve, what its objectives are. When that's in place, the marketing strategy can then fold out. That's almost like the foundation. The marketing plan comes after that and is essentially the list of activities and actions that relate to the marketing strategy, but ultimately will help the business obtain its objectives. So I'm going to cover each of those in a little bit more detail. So the business plan, as I say, it's the blueprint. It answers the how, why, what, when, and where. And actually, Harts have got a brilliant business strategic service, and I would really recommend that you speak to Stephen about that if your business doesn't have a business plan in place. It's a great service, so do take that on board. The marketing strategy, once the business plan is in place, the marketing strategy can then really reflect the business plan. And what it will do is focus on how marketing can actually assist in achieving those business goals. So two that I've picked out in particular are brand awareness. So this is where a company feels that their name's just not known in their industry or in their geographic area. So that's really what a lot of businesses want to do anyway, is that they really want to elevate their brand and their existence. And then the key, which is what everybody wants, is lead generation, which ultimately lead into sales. You're wanting a constant drip feed of new opportunities coming into the business. And that's really where marketing can help. As I said before, sales and marketing go hand in hand. So that's really important that the sales function really fit in with marketing and vice versa. So the marketing strategy also takes into considerations lots of other elements in terms of things like the competition. So who else is out there in the marketplace? Who else is sort of vying for the same business that you are. And then there are external factors, and obviously the key one that we've all had to deal with over the last few years has clearly been the pandemic, but Brexit. But there's lots of other things that happen as well that we have to take into consideration. Depending on where you are, there's things in your local area. HS2. We've talked about the cost of living. All those external factors have an impact on the business, and that needs to take into consideration when you're putting your strategy together. Also looking at resources available. So who have you got in your business that can actually, handle the marketing? Who's got the time to do it? Have you got the budget? So those are all really key things. Also, the resources goes further than that as well. If you were then to bring in a lot more business, how would your business handle that? So those are considerations that you need to look at. And then you look at the target market. So what type of business are you looking for? Is it within a particular industry? Is it B2B? Is it B2C? Is it geographic related? There's lots of elements there that you need to take into consideration. So the marketing plan, which is really what we're going to focus on today, is that document. So this comes out of those first two stages that your business has put together. And we also start looking at the marketing mix. So you may or may not be familiar with this, but for most businesses, it's the 4 Ps: the product, price, place, and promotion. And for service-based businesses, that actually extends to 7 and includes people, process, and physical evidence. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail, because actually what you can see from them is what activities under each of those sections that you can do from a marketing aspect. We'll also include within the marketing plan the schedule and the sequence of events. So what happens to then do the next stage, to then do the next stage. So we'll look at those as well. And obviously, as with any plan, we need to make sure that there are processes in place to measure and monitor the activity, and using the SMART objectives. So we'll move on to the marketing mix. And as I say, I've listed the 7 Ps here. So product is where we talk about if you actually had a physical product or a service, you're looking at the branding, you're looking at the functionality. So what you would do there is you would look at the benefits for that product or service. So how would your target market, how would they use that product? How would they use that service? What difference would it make to their lives or to their business? You may look, if it is a product, you may have some packaging. So you'd be then looking at the appearance, the quality, and with a product, there may be other elements that you would need to consider as well in terms of instructions. You may need to do some testing. So there's lots of elements around the product or the service. The place is quite simply, how do you buy it? Where can you buy it, and how to buy it? And that could be, as we'll talk in a little on the next slide, it may be that you have a physical shop. It may be that you sell online, or it may be with a service that actually it's done on a people-to-people basis. So, but those are things that we need to consider. Is if somebody says, yes, I want to buy this product, or I want to buy this service, what is the process that they then need to do? How do they physically pay it? Do they give you cash? Do they pay by credit card? Do they pay by backs? Is it invoice? So there's lots of different aspects. So those are things that you need to take into consideration.
I think I would tend to agree with you there. Just sorry to butt in. I think what we're finding now is that you've got to make it as easy as possible for people to pay you. So you've got to look at how simple it is to pay. So give them every opportunity to pay you. Don't make it difficult for them.
Absolutely, yeah, totally. And I think if you think about that, if you've gone onto a website to buy something, if it is an e-commerce site, if it's difficult for you to then find to actually how to press add to cart or to buy, quite often you've just given up and you've gone somewhere else, and that would then cost you a sale, and that's really important to consider. And in terms of the price, you also need to look at the cost to you, the cost to the customer, whether or not that there is discounts that you might offer at certain times of the year. credit terms, and also, one of the things that a lot of businesses will do, and we see this particularly with the high street supermarkets, is price matching. So that's really something to consider as well. Promotion, this is the bit where I think people automatically think that this is just marketing, but actually, as you can see, marketing encompasses lots of other areas as well. But the promotion is the marketing messages, is it's that tagline, it's that, that hook that gets people to buy. It's the sales promotion activity, and that might also include the PR, any direct marketing, advertising, and we can go into all of those again in a little bit more detail. But quite often when you ask somebody what is marketing, they'll just say, oh, it's an advert, or it's this, or it's that. But actually, you can see from this slide that there's a lot more involved with the marketing mix. So when we talk about service-based sort of marketing, and essentially, Harts as accountants, me as marketing, we're in a service-based sort of roles. So there is lots of other aspects that we need to include in that as well. And the key one is people. And it's really important that we involve everybody within the business, within the sales and marketing processes. And you might think, well, my job is, I don't need to be. But actually, if you're customer facing, then or speaking, if it's just done on over the phone, you are an ambassador of your business. So actually, what will help you be a better ambassador for your business is if you know what's going on. So I think it's really important that we include internal marketing with and making sure that the people working within your business actually know what's going on. They can be the ones that will say when they're talking to people, oh, did you know that we also do? Or, oh, we've got this event coming up. So they in themselves become almost the sales and marketing people. Culture is really important, and we've seen that a happy culture, within a business can actually be so beneficial for everybody. And it's important that actually training is involved in this process as well, to make sure that the people within your business are actually trained adequately to be able to do their job. And I don't just mean from a function perspective, but also there are other aspects in there, and that could also include the customer journey, or things like this, in terms of marketing. So that leads us on to the process, that customer journey, and so many people forget about this. But actually, rather than putting yourself in your shoes, just for 1 minute, look at it from your customer's perspective. So, if you've got a website, go through the website and look at it. Try and look at it with a fresh pair of eyes of how your customer would take that journey. Is it difficult for them to find information, or to book on a course, or to buy that product? And also, that can also happen if you've got an actual office or a shop. What happens when they arrive? Look at the front, your shop window. How does that look? Does that give the right impression of your business? And then just take that actual journey through, from the bit where they park the car, or that they come to the door. How are they greeted? Is it easy for them to find where they need to pick up a product, or how to talk to somebody to tell, I'm here to meet. Just think about it from that perspective. And the physical evidence, this really comes down to the customer experience. And what we would like from that is, because that can actually help again in terms of the sales process, is ask for feedback. Get them to give you a testimonial, or you can do a case study, or it might even be a Google review. Or it could be a comment on a YouTube video. So there's lots of different aspects of there where you're looking for that feedback from the customer experience. And it's that after sales process as well. So quite often when a customer buys from you, is that it's not just a one-off purchase, and you want them to continue that process. So how do you keep in touch with them? If you're offering a product, is there an after service process? Is it that they can ring for help? if there's an issue or they don't know how to, if you've bought a vacuum cleaner, for example, and you've then got an issue with, changing the bags or actually how to use it, is there somewhere where that they can call? Or what we've seen now with many businesses is that using social media to actually help with that customer support. We can see, with a lot of the supermarkets or the retail brands, that they're using that, and people are finding that they can actually get an answer quicker by tweeting somebody or tweeting a business than they can if they tried to phone somebody. So those are all elements to consider. And what I've looked at here is what the marketing activities are within each of those. And I've mentioned some of these already, but what we can look at here is with the product, it is about the branding. You might have brand guidelines. And if you think about the big brands in our lives, you will know that every time you see their brand, there is a consistency there. They don't just change the colour, that it always looks the same. And actually, every business can do that. It doesn't have to be a Coca-Cola or a McDonald's that has those guidelines in place. Everybody can do that. And that will really help with the brand awareness and that consistency when your customers see your brand out there. Market research is something that, is a really key point of, when people have a new product, it isn't just somebody's had a great idea and then they go to market. There's a lot of research that needs to go in behind that. So they will look at, where does it fit in the market? Who else is out there? What's the price points? Will people actually buy it? So there's a lot of aspects with research that should happen. I mentioned copywriting because, as we talked before about, if you've got a product, you may have packaging that then needs content on the back. And that content actually could be quite instructional, but it could also be, it can actually show some personality. Again, you've got brands out there, people like Innocent, where if you ever look at the back of a bottle, it's very quirky. It says what it needs to say, but there's also a lot of brand personality in there. And we're seeing that a lot of people are now copying that type of personality, almost creating their own brand personality and using that in social media and in other content, whether it be on their website or in brochures. A product or a service may have their own product or leaflet, a product leaflet or brochure. It may have a video. That video might be to actually, these are the benefits of using this product or service, but then it might also be instructional as well and show people actually how to use that product. And, now, people are more likely to go to YouTube or TikTok to find out how to do something or how to use it, rather than actually look at an instruction manual. So the place, we've talked about, a shop window, but actually how people buy can also be in other ways. It could be that you use distributors. Are they selling and marketing your product in the way that you want them to? So, again, we talked about brand guidelines, but there are also guidelines and things in place for distributors to sell and market the product in the way that you want it to. Online, mail order, and there are lots of other things that we can talk about there. From a service-based business, none of those might be appropriate. It's more like face-to-face or over the phone. Price, again, there's market research that goes into place with pricing. How are you pricing yourself against other people? And does it fit into the marketplace? Does it fit with your brand? And but as Stephen has mentioned as well, how important it is to get across how people can pay. What's included in that? Is it just a one-off purchase? Is VAT included? Does it also include after sales support? So there's lots of other elements that you should really make sure that come into place under price.
Can I just put in there as well, we actually did a video on pricing psychology, which is also useful in relation to this. It's actually on our YouTube channel. So if you missed that one, go and have a watch of that.
Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. And I thought that was a really great session that you did there. It's really interesting just in terms of, how you position, how you write your price. So do check that out if you haven't seen it already. I thought that was very good. when it comes to promotion, you can see there that the list is huge compared to the other sections, but actually that is not that is not the complete list. There are so many more aspects of marketing activities, and I think the key question that I always get asked is, what should I use to market my business? And sometimes it's like, how long's a piece of string, or because it comes out of so many different variables. Who's your industry? What industry are you in? But also, what are your target market? What are they in? It comes down to budget. It comes down to how much resource you've got in terms of timing. So there's lots of different variables. But very simply, what I would say is that almost imagine your target market, and you'll hear that some people talk about actually create this is our ideal customer, and almost create an avatar around that customer. Is where do they go, where do they what publications do they read? And when you start to try and build up that picture, you then start to think about, well, I know that my target market are likely to read the local paper. I'm not sure what happened then. Sorry, I don't know if you saw that, a message just popped up. So if you know that your target market is likely to read your local newspaper or listen to the local radio station, then that might be where you need to look at promoting your business. But actually, that might not be right for you. I'm not saying that you should do advertising. Advertising can be costly. There are lots of other things that you can do instead. There are actually a lot of free digital press out there that are happy to receive information about your business and include that. So that's almost what we would call PR. And newspapers, local digital publications are quite often interested in editorial to help. It could be that you do product reviews or competitions. That also helps. Direct marketing, that can be obviously the trend is now more to receive things electronically and with e-shots. But actually, some people could be a little bit different and stand out by actually using a mailer that comes through people's doors. So it's about finding the right tools that actually fit with your business. Like Harts will do these regular webinars. Other businesses might do trade shows where they actually go to a physical exhibition hall like the NEC and do a trade show there, but that might not be right for everybody. So I know I'm being very vague, but actually it depends on what your business is looking to achieve and who you're looking to target in terms of your market. So I can give some help on that individually if you need that. So we'll just move on to the rest of them. I talked about the service-based businesses. So people, this wouldn't be not all of these would be appropriate for every business, but for shops, it might be that you would have some kind of staff uniform, or you find that I'm thinking about sort of engineering or people in trades. They may wear sort of t-shirts with the company name on, and so that then gives a brand awareness, as well as, I suppose, providing people with workwear that is suitable for their job. We talked about internal marketing already, and that could be just through an intranet or regular newsletters, or even simply the notice board. The process. So talk about sort of signage, guidance, instructions, newsletters. So it's about giving that information to your customers about how they can actually buy from you. And the physical evidence, I've talked about that in a little bit more detail already in terms of the after sales, that customer support, feedback, and I've mentioned some other things on there. There are lots of review sites out there, not just Google. So Trustpilot is another one to consider. So when you're planning for the year ahead, what I would suggest to businesses is just identify what those key dates are within your diary. So you may have some events that are already you're already set. They may be industry led. I know for solicitors, there are key times of the year that they may want to do events around. So what I mean by that is that in April and October for employment law, there are usually changes announced within the employment law. So actually, what you find is with HR or employment law solicitors that they may have events that might happen to actually tell people about what's going on. You may have some physical events. I talked about sort of exhibitions. It could be that, every year we do this exhibition and it happens in September. So when you start to put those in the diary, you can then see what you can then do. You can mark it around. You may have heard of National Awareness Days, that every day there's a National Awareness Day or week. And this could be a charity, it could be related to a health condition, it could be just related to a food type. Quite often, a lot of them have been made up by probably marketeers. We always get the credit for this type of thing, but within businesses. So it could be that today, I don't know, I've not looked it up, but today could be National Strawberry Day. Now, if your business is strawberry related, it may be that you want to actually use that as an opportunity to promote your strawberries or perhaps recipes related to strawberries. So you get the picture. There could be a seasonal focus. So, there are, again, if I go back to solicitors, I know that at the key times of the year, I've talked about employment already, but in January and September, sadly, they're key times for divorce. I think people find that, after Christmas or after the summer holidays, people find that, they don't want to be with their spouse anymore. And, so those are key times. The obvious seasonal one may be around Christmas and preparing for products that people might want to buy as gifts, or you've got the summer season where people might be buying things for holidays or for the beach and or for the garden. So when you start planning out what's relevant for your business, you can start to see that there are key things within the year that you can start to use as pillars. And then what you can start to do is add in what those regular activities might be that you have. So whether you have a monthly or quarterly newsletter, add those in. The webinars, Harts webinars have been regular, and you want to put those in the diary as well. And actually, the key thing is you need to have some marketing meetings as well to discuss those, and that could be the first week of the month. And once you start to add those in, the diary starts to get quite full. And it also then shows you what gaps that you've got to how you can fill in when there are sort of gaps there. The marketing budget, is there something available? There isn't any sort of formula for what marketing budget you should have. And I do get asked this a lot. For some businesses, they have a percentage of what they feel that they can spend a month or a year on their marketing. For others, it's like, well, what do we need? And so it's a little bit chicken and egg when it comes to the budget. And it might be that not everybody within the marketing function is aware of what the marketing budget is, but actually senior management obviously need to be. But where there is a budget in place, it's important that that is monitored and that you can then look at what your return on investment is, assuming that you've actually put the right objectives in place. You can look at what marketing activities are required for each. So we've talked about, so if you've got an industry event happening, you're actually going to an exhibition. What you might want to then look at is, it's in September, what do I need to do to get ready for that? Well, you really probably need to be looking at that event, 3-4 months in advance. You'll need to understand is, well, what do I need to do logistic wise to actually have an exhibition stand created, the branding, the graphics, who's going to be there, how do we tell people that we're going to be there, do we invite people, do we try and set up meetings while we're there? So once you start looking at all the elements for each event, it will actually then help you start to put a plan together. And as I talked about, you can look at what resources required and and it's really important to just keep a check on the performance of it. So, you could be looking at, well, we've got, and I'll just put this out of the air, we've got £1,000 to spend on this particular campaign. How's that £1,000 going to be spent? And actually, how are we going to make sure that we actually make that £1,000 back and some to justify that activity has happened? So the principles of actually planning a specific campaign, the first things that I would suggest is that you look at, well, what is the focus of the event? Is it like I've just talked about, an exhibition? Is it a product? Are you looking to, right, we're really going to focus on this product, this service, and it's something that we haven't done before. It's a new product. It might be a launch of a new product. It might be a launch of a new office or a new store somewhere. So you really just need to understand what the focus is and what the objective is. What do you want people to do? You have to have a clear call to action. So are you looking for people to sign up to go to this event? Are you looking for them to buy? Or are you just asking people to register interest to get more information so that you can then start that sales process with them? Who's the target market? We've talked about this before. Just really understand who would want to buy this product or service. As I mentioned before, look at how much time is available. If you've got 3 months or you've got 3 weeks, you can still plan a marketing campaign effectively. It might be that obviously if you've got 3 weeks rather than 3 months, things might obviously have to happen a little bit quicker. Look at the budget, as I've said already, what resources available. And what I mean by that is who is available to actually help with this campaign. But also, what are we using? Do we have brochures already that we use? Have we got an exhibition stand we can use already? Are there roller banners? Have we got? So just start to think about all the aspects of that. If you're going to an exhibition, you might want to use things like printed merchandise, so pens that have got your business name on it. So if you want to include something like that, then you'll have to make sure that you've given yourself enough time to do some research to find the best pen and how quickly you can get that printed and delivered to you so that you can take it to the exhibition. There's been so many times where I've had a client and they've got an exhibition coming up or they've got an event coming up, and they'll leave it right till the last minute, and then they'll say, we're going to this event next week and we have some pens, and you're thinking, oh my goodness. So you then start to try and help them with that process, but ideally you want to make sure that they're aware of that in advance. And then of course you need to, once you've done a campaign, you need to look at it and review it. What worked, what didn't work. Did we meet our targets? Did we go over budget? Did we go under budget? Did we get the results we were looking for? And there will be some good points in there, there'll be some bad points, but hopefully anything you'll be able to learn then for the next time you do that event or that campaign. So in terms of tracking, there are lots of specific marketing plan software tools out there that you can use, and I think we've all become very used to using software to actually help. So there are ones out there. I personally don't use those. There are workflow and project management software tools that you can use as well. There are some free ones. I use Kanban Flow as a good one to help with time management. And but in very simple terms, you can use a wall planner, a wall year planner, and mark things out on there. My personal favourite is a Gantt chart. And that's because I use it just as an Excel spreadsheet, and it just helps me pin out what's happening. You can see I've just done a slight example there, but you can put the dates that you've got coming up. You can add in blocks of when things are going to happen, but then you can start to see the gaps by looking at the calendar of when you've got gaps and how you can try and fill those. So there are some different ways of keeping a track, but there's some free tools out there. there's some expensive tools out there, or you could just use things that you feel more comfortable with using. And I have sort of alluded to this before, but marketing isn't just for marketeers. And the key thing for me is that the only time that I feel that marketing is successful is when it is a top-down function that the senior management actually lead or are involved with. Unfortunately, I've seen this before, where you have people who are at a senior level within a business, and they just think marketing is a bit of a fluff or bump, and I've heard all that before. They think we might just want to put something sparkly or a nice brochure, and that it costs money, and that isn't the case. Obviously, I'm going to say that, but it isn't the case. But where actually it is actually a senior-led function where they actually believe in marketing and they understand the importance of it, that's when I feel that it works most effectively. And in most of the cases that I work with my clients, I work with the senior management team, and because we need to understand what the business objectives are, and then it actually helps you then put together a successful marketing strategy and plan. So not all businesses will have an in-house marketing function, and it's just not achievable for every business. There's a lot of other resources that they may need. But having a lack of marketing experience or skills or time in house, then there are other options. So one is to outsource. It can be cost effective, and it can ultimately justify the need to employ somebody further down the line. And that really helps, as businesses are growing, having somebody helping maybe on a part-time basis, and then helping justify can then lead to the fact that you can actually hire somebody in-house yourself. And empower your employees, as I've mentioned before. Tell them what's happening within your business so that they also can help spread the word. When it comes to reviewing activities, social media or e-shots, there are analytics that are part of those tools, so you can have a look at performance. When it comes down to advertising, it may be that you include a code on there, and when people contact you or go to your website to buy, then maybe ask them, how did you hear about us? And it could be that they could add that code in. It might give them a slight discount, but it also helps you understand where that inquiry came from or how you got that business. Listen to feedback, talk to your clients, talk to your colleagues, and have the positive and the negative will really help you in terms of how you develop your marketing plans, and how you communicate that in the future. I'd keep referring back to your business and marketing plans. They should be work in progress, but just check that are we sticking to it. It's so easy to get distracted. We might get a call from somebody telling us that there's a last minute advertising deal, and you think, oh, that sounds good, I might look at that. But actually, before you make that decision, is it fitting in with your business plan, your marketing plan? Is it the right target market? And yes, there might be a discount on how you can advertise, but is it going to give you the results that you're looking for? So just take those into consideration, and just continually to make adjustments to activities where necessary. So if something's not quite working, then how can you tweak that to make sure that it works better? And any questions? I feel like I've pushed a lot of information across to you. So
I think that's been great. I mean, I've certainly picked up a few points, and without having to go at people on reception, I think we need to tidy up our reception. We always have too many boxes sitting in there as well. But it's interesting to see that we're actually on the right lines, and we're doing a lot of the stuff which we should be doing. And I hope everybody else is doing something fairly similar. And I take your point that marketing isn't all for marketeers. I'm not a marketeer, I'm an accountant. But you can pick up an awful lot along the way, and no doubt you'll have your own industries which will have their own bodies or so on, trade bodies, which might give you some tips as well. But it is amazing what you can do and how cheaply you can do it these days. You don't need to be spending fortunes on advertising and marketing. But thank you very much indeed. Has anybody got any questions they want to raise or anything at all? Unmute yourself, shout out, stick it in the chat box. This session, as I say, has been recorded, and you can catch up on the slides on the YouTube channel later on today. No, we have no. Okay, we have one from Paula. Yep, fire away, Alex.
Hi, Helen, thanks very much for that. Very insightful. I missed the first couple of minutes. I was just going to ask you just a little bit about the firm that you work for, what you do, etc.
Okay, so excuse me, my business is Marketing Doris, and I've been working as Marketing Doris for 15 years, which is I work as a marketing consultant or part-time marketing director or on-demand marketing manager. I don't really mind what people call me, to be honest. And so some people just call me Doris, and that's fine. But what I do is I work for businesses that have little or no marketing in-house. And I try and help them with their marketing activity, help put them on the right track, may develop their marketing strategy or marketing plan for them, and then actually help them deliver it if they haven't got the resource in-house. And so that's essentially what I do, and I've been doing that for 15 years now.
Do you have a kind of speciality, if you like, or a certain size of business that you work with, certain industries?
No, I work with businesses of all sizes, from startups to multi-million pound sort of organisations. It really there really hasn't been any consistency in terms of industry or size, and the different the better, to be honest. I'm always quite happy to talk to a business about what marketing needs that they may have. You may have gathered, I actually love talking about marketing. I could talk all day, but I know that Stephen's going to cut me off at some point. So, but I don't know if you saw my LinkedIn. Happy to have a chat with you separately, Alex, about that.
Yeah, great. All right, thanks, Helen.
Okay.
Thank you. One final question: tips for social media marketing planning.
Yes, so that's a good one.
Could talk for another hour on that, no doubt, at least.
I did, and we did actually do a digital marketing a session, which you can find on the Harts YouTube channel. So do take a look at that. But very simply, what I would do is, don't feel that you have to be on every single social media channel. What I would do is pick one if you haven't got time to do more, but pick one where you feel that is where your target market uses the most, where they hang out. And I would say, if you're on a business to business sort of service or product, then I would really recommend LinkedIn as where you put your focus. And other B2B channels could be Twitter. If you're more retail, then it may be that Instagram or Facebook are for you as well. But I would do one at a time rather than trying to feel that you have to be on everything, and do it. Don't leave dormant accounts. If you're not using it, close it down. But having an account that hasn't been used for months or years, I think gives quite a bad impression. So keep it going or shut it down.
Great. And she's come back to say she's in a holiday home in Chester using Instagram and Facebook. So it shows you can do it from anywhere. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, definitely. Oh, Pinterest is another good one, actually. If you're using things like Instagram, Pinterest is quite a hidden gem, really. So I would really look at that as well, Paula, for your business. Thank you very much indeed, Helen. It's been fascinating to hear some of the insights and tips and all the stuff that we should be doing. Have a look on our YouTube channel as well, because the webinar will appear on there. And also on there is some podcasts which we've recently recorded. So have a look on there for 15-minute sessions with an IFA, an independent financial advisor, with a commercial lending broker, and with a doctor as well, about the state of the NHS and what you should be thinking about for mental health in the workplace. So it's a very interesting podcast. We've got more in the pipeline. So have a look on there on our YouTube channel. If you've got any suggestions for future webinars, please let us know. If you've liked this webinar, please comment on it on our social media channels. We'd love to hear from you. But thanks very much indeed for joining us this morning. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen.